There's a conversation that's happening around men not taking what their partners or wives say at face value and needing external people to validate what their wife was telling them. An expansion of that was men who disagree with women just for the sake of the fact that they don't like to agree with women. I came across this video on my For You page the other day, and although almost all of his content is combating patriarchy, I think it's really interesting the way, even if this isn't what he believes, the way he framed this.
I used to think my wife was exaggerating when she said she'd be judged for our messy house. I was like, honestly, everyone's too wrapped up in their own shit to care about our mess. Then I read the messy room study and had one of those uncomfortable moments. In the study, people are given photos of either a messy room or a tidy room, same room, and told that the room belongs to either Jane or John. Then they're asked a bunch of questions, and we learn some interesting things. We have different standards for John and Jane.
The question that comes up first for me is, why wasn't your wife's word enough? Why does it take a study to believe the experience of women? Why does it have to be researched and studied what women are telling you are their lived experiences, and you have to basically have it confirmed by other men? And I think most women can agree that they've been in this situation where they've told a man something and he doesn't believe her and has to go look it up in order to believe the words coming out of her mouth. This started for me at like 10 years old. I had an uncle who's a very, very, very big misogynist. And I knew he was something before I even knew what the word misogynist was. I just knew that he did not like me, did not believe me. Everything was an argument with him. And my brother's dad used to feed a big ass fucking moose, right? The moose would come up to the house. He had horses. So he actually at one point got to a point where he could hand feed this moose. He had photo evidence of this happening. And so he's telling us, like my brother's dad is telling us, and my brother is telling me, and I thought it was really cool. So I go and tell my uncle we were at a ski resort. I told him, and he started arguing with me and basically calling me a liar and saying that he didn't believe me and he's going to have to verify my story. And I remember at that time sitting back, and I would have been over the age of 12, so probably just hitting puberty. And I remember just sitting back and being like, why are we arguing about this? Why is this such a big deal? And it continued to happen throughout my life where I would state a fact and a man would have to argue with me. It happened with my brother a couple of years ago. I sold my car, and at the time, some used cars were going for more than brand new cars because there was a shortage. I told my brother that just what I said. The arguments we got into, he was arguing with me. My brother didn't get his full license until he was in his 20s and does not own a car, has not bought a car himself, has never sold a car himself, but got into this big back and forth. And I remember sitting there going like, I am a fully grown adult who just sold a car. Why is this even up for debate? It happens all of the time in my comment sections too, where men come in, and it happened one time with AI, a conversation around AI. And I said that AI inherently has biases because it's programmed by people, specifically more men, but people. And what they do is they scrape data. So they go out and, scrape all this in order to train and teach the AI. But in scraping the data, they are scraping biased information because humans all of the information, right? So for example, you ask an AI about health related questions, it's going to have an inherent bias towards men against women because majority of our medical research has been done for men, by men, about men. So it's not going to be this all-knowing thing because it has limits, and that limit is, right, the people who programmed it, the data it's scraping, all of that makes it inherently biased. And this man went back and forth. And finally I gave up. And then everyone in the comments was like, you are the man, like arguing the same thing I was arguing. And this happens so fucking frequently, even in relationships. When women are in relationships with men, their partners, there's so many times where they will tell a man something, and like this man will argue for the sake of arguing. And it just comes down to, it's that internalized misogyny that they haven't deconstructed. They're just so argumentative for no reason. They want to disagree with you for no reason other than you're a woman. When I was married, we had a covered garage. It wasn't a heated garage, but it was attached to the house. Now, when I started dating my ex, he always wanted you to start the car and sit in it for a minute. Honestly, I grew up in Northwestern Ontario where like, yeah, you might do that if you need to warm things up because it's minus 40 degrees. But at the time we lived in Vancouver, and it was always of zero. I was like, there's absolutely no reason I need to do this. And he was like, no, my dad told me I need to do this, so you need to do this. And it was a point of contention in our relationship for the entire 5.5 years we were together. I literally researched it. I looked up online, I confirmed it, I presented my evidence to him, and he goes, nope. And I just remember sitting there going like, this whole thing is just, it's a control tactic, it's a power play, and it's just an irrelevant argument and conversation we're having because you don't want to agree with me. You don't want me to be right. And this happens so fucking often, even when it comes to like movies, TV shows. How often will a guy not want to watch a movie, not want to watch a TV show, but then he'll come home and say, hey, someone said this was a great TV show. And you're sitting there looking at them going like, I told you this 2-3 weeks ago. Now you want to watch it because Joe at work, and it's always a man, never a woman. If a man tells another man something is worth their time, then it's worth their time. But if a woman says